Hey everybody, Alex Terrace here, healthhacksreviewed.com. So this video is going to be on protein. There's a lot of myths about protein. I'm going to go specifically over the best protein supplement out there, proven with all the science essentially. One of the most well-studied and researched proteins. And it actually has its own patent number as well for the exact formulation, the amino acid formulation. So first, I'd like to start off with the fact that with protein consumption, there's a massive amount of myths and confusion as far as how much the body actually needs. When you really dig into it, and there's a lot to dig into, but as far as how the body grows from a baby up, and you start to really look at biology, forget the studies, just really look at biology, you'll see that actually, yes, the body does require a lot of amino acids for a lot of different things, but the actual need from the environment is a very much smaller amount from the diet. So what happens is you have a lot of different cultures that have an excessive amount of protein consumption, and really most people need to cut their protein probably down 80 to 90%. The only exception to being a little bit higher, but not much, because remember it's about assimilation as well, how much you're assimilating, would be people that are doing a lot of exercise. There are also some exceptions where somebody is truly protein deficient, and I would just tell you that a lot of people think they need more protein, but when you really ask them, have you done the tests to see if you actually genuinely are very low in specific amino acids, and you have clear indications that there's a protein deficiency happening, those people, of course, never done those tests. So a lot of people in their minds just have this idea or this concept that they should eat a lot more protein because that's what some people say out there. So what is not discussed when they say about you should eat amount, and we're going to get to the products in a second, the best ones, when I review those. But again, these are important points to take home, is there's no such thing as telling somebody, oh, you're 150 pounds, or you're this amount of pounds, or this amount of weight, or you seem to be really active. You should have X amount of grams of protein. First off, depending on the protein source, it could be tofu, it could be eggs, could be chicken. Each of those different sources, dietary sources, have a different amount of nitrogen retention and assimilation value overall. So it's kind of like, well, if you're telling me 100 grams of what particular protein source, there can be very big differences in how much the body's able to assimilate. And then in addition, with actual protein consumption, there's also factors as far as what your metabolism is, how much weight are you carrying on your body, and also time of the day you are actually consuming. And there's other aspects too hormonally that can affect how much you're assimilating. So this whole idea about you should consume X amount or this percentage even of your calories, that none of those guidelines, none actually factor in assimilation. How much are you actually assimilating? So it's all bogus, basically. You just completely should throw all that advice away. If you don't actually know how much you assimilate, one easy test you can do at home is actually through urine when you're eating a high protein food, and you can actually track in there how much nitrogen your body's actually what your actual retention is, and to see how well you're actually assimilating, and compare that retention to actual studies that have been done. So moving forward, most people's kidneys are really not filtering properly, and they get very bogged down with a lot of high protein, and that then affects your ability for your kidneys to filter your blood and your lymph. This is one reason of many, but an important one, that people start to build up a lot of toxins in their body and a lot of acidosis, because their kidneys move into a poorer and poorer shape, until the point where some people have renal failure, and what do they say? They say you need to cut back and if not cut out all your protein. Why? Because they know it'll help bring the kidneys back. Kidneys are crucial for actually keeping yourself cleansed and clean. And I would also challenge folks out there too, to actually cut your protein a lot, increase maybe some of your other food groups, and see how you feel. You might be surprised that you really didn't need as much as you thought. All right, so this actual company right here is Body Health, which was started by Dr. David Minkoff, who is very well known to be a Iron Man, triathlon sort of superstar. So he created this and many other products and lines here. But so basically, Perfect Amino is the 8 essential amino acids, but this is not just an amino acid supplement, not like any other one you can just go find at some health food store. Before it was under this label of Body Health, it was known as the, gosh, it doesn't say it on here, but you can see it says Master Amino Acid Pattern, or MAP is what the bottle says on it. It stands for Master Amino Acid Pattern. So this was the term coined for that specific patent that patented the combination of these 8 different essential amino acids and the ratios that they were in. This took 17 years to actually track. They worked with human breast milk initially, and the reason they did that is because the amino acids in there are designed to grow a baby body. And just think about how fast that baby's body grows, right? When you actually look at the amount of protein consumed to grow that body and all the tissues, the brain, it's a lot of crucial development there. With breastfeeding, you realize it's a tiny, tiny amount of protein. And that's like one evidence where you can actually look and see, wow, to actually grow that much tissue actually does not require that much protein. So it's fascinating. But anyways, there's a special ratio of amino acids in human breast milk. So they studied that. They found that it was highly assimilated, but for an adult body, and they knew that, of course, it would have to be a larger quantity, like in milligrams, let's say. So but it wasn't easy to say, hey, let's add more leucine to this ratio, because the minute they did that, their assimilation would go down as far as how much the body was retaining. So it just took years and years and years of playing around with just 8 different amino acids to actually figure out how do you get the level or the quantity up on these amino acids, but keep your actual assimilation ratio also high. So how high is that assimilation ratio? It's 99%. That means there's like no waste. When you eat a food, obviously things go into the toilet, there's waste. There's a lot of things that your kidneys have to filter out, all kinds of stuff. There's no waste with this. So all of this protein goes into protein synthesis and helping a variety of tissues and organs do what they need to do. Amino acids are crucial for so many different things, assimilating or building neurotransmitters in the brain. I mean, you name it. For your liver to properly detoxify with the right enzymes. So there's a lot to this. So here's a quick comparison. This is fairly accurate, by the way. You can look up the research studies on this. What are the food groups that you assimilate the best? This is why I was saying somebody just can't say, hey, you should get 75 grams of protein per day. What does that mean? So if you're taking a branched amino acid supplement, a BCAA, if you're exercise a lot, or your practitioner told you less than 1% assimilation, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes you see like 4 or 5%. So take out your calculator and see how much money you're wasting. All right, and then moving on to whey and soy protein powders. That's fair. It's less than 18. What's actually highest there is soy, although generally you shouldn't be taking a processed soy product because of the effect it has on hormones, especially if you're a male. So soy is actually pretty high, so it's at 17% technically. But anyways, so think about all the money you might be spending on these couple sources, and you'll be flushing most of that away and taxing your kidneys in the process. Meat, poultry, fish, less than 32%. Also depends on how you're cooking it, so you see how complicated it gets. And then egg protein and or eggs, and by the way, the best way to get the highest percentage is you have to have the yolks and you have to have the whites in combination. When you remove the yolks out, and people do a lot of egg whites and they think it's really cool and healthy, that brings your actual total assimilation value down. What was it? I think maybe somewhere around 20. I just don't remember. It was a tremendous difference doing egg whites versus the whole entire egg. And if you aren't eating eggs, obviously make sure they're good eggs, and also do not cook the yolks, as cooking fats, denaturing them is very bad in the body, and you lose a lot of the nutritional value of that. I'm not a big fan of eggs. There's a lot of trendy paleo and all kinds of things out there that say, oh, you got to eat all these eggs. When you really get into it, it's a bunch of BS, to be honest, as far as that you need that particular food. But if you're one of those people that does happen to do really well on them, there are exceptions. Keep doing it. Just be in moderation. Don't get carried away. Some people are doing like eggs every single day. So 99, that's tremendous. So what does that also mean? That means that even 150 count, even if you blow through the bottle, let's say in 15 days, and you're like, oh my gosh, it was $40. Well, you're forgetting how much you're assimilating. So when you actually crunch the numbers and then see how much money you're wasting as far as how much protein you're assimilating from these sources in general, it's cheap. It's actually the cheapest protein you can find on the market or in nature. So what this also means is because you're giving your body the 8 essential amino acids, there are other amino acids to obtain, but you actually can scale back on your purchasing of these other protein sources. You don't have to spend as much money in these areas. So actually, I've tracked it, and you can save a fair amount of money in your diet as far as your food budget goes. And also, if you're on a weight loss program, this is your best friend, because you still get enough amino acids, so you'll feel great. It'll help you detoxify. You'll get good quality sleep while you're cutting calories. It allows, because your body's getting what it needs with the protein side, then you actually can get away with a lot less calories of your total consumption for that day. So it's great for weight loss. All right, so moving on, I just wanted to touch on also the master amino acid pattern. And so it goes also under this label. You actually get more servings in the Body Health brand. And then on here, I just wanted to talk about this particular chart over here. Okay, so because this information, and if you ask me, I can send you this particular document so you can review it. All these findings here are not necessarily for the brand label, master amino acid pattern. It was found in all the studies before it was even sold in the supplement market. So all these are also true for Perfect Amino. It's the same formulation, same product, different lab. So there's 2 labs total that make the identical formulation. Neither one is better than the other. So the studies have shown 1% of this particular pattern or amino acid type of product follow the catabolic pathway. So go with the pathway of when protein is broken down and that the kidneys and things have to process that, only releasing 1% of nitrogen. By comparison, when you're eating a lot of protein sources, 52 to 84 is nitrogen waste and things like that the body has to process. So there's a lot of waste, and that taxes the body, and especially the kidneys, over time with most protein foods. That's why you generally should keep them lower in the diet. So safer, especially if you already have renal or hepatic issues or liver issues, to actually go with this option. And so here it is. So just imagine, ignore the brand here, just imagine it's just kind of, we're talking about the amino acid here. Look at these incredible figures right here. So this has to do with net nitrogen utilization. That's one way of analyzing how much of the protein you're using and how much your ability to build muscle and tissues. 99, that's average. 32, we already went over the chart. Protein supplements are even worse, most of them. Digestion time, this is a big one, 23 minutes. So it gets in your bloodstream rapidly, easy to digest, so it takes hardly any enzymatic energy, basically. It doesn't tax your enzymes. So which is like one aspect of why some people do raw foods, because there's more enzymes intact to help digest the food. And most people are very deficient in enzyme load. It's another conversation. So most dietary proteins takes that much longer. So this also gives you a lot of energy. People really feel an energy pickup because of this, because the assimilation is rapid. This is also especially important if you're looking at this and you're an athlete or you like to work out, because if you take this before and right after working out, this will go immediately into assisting in buffering the catabolic breakdown of your muscles. So this is huge right here. And then also it's a nice thing to take before bed. so your muscles or tissues don't break down while you're sleeping as well. There's two sides to that equation. Some people, there's also a benefit to not eating anything or not having anything before sleep. So autolyzing, which is the healthy breakdown or cleansing of disrupted or broken amino acids in the body, that cleansing process takes place during sleep. So if you're training, you're really trying to put on a lot of muscle or whatever, definitely have it before sleep, and you don't have to worry about eating something, and that stimulates a lot of digestion and can affect quality of sleep. So you can take this instead, no calories. And it has also a way of raising growth hormone because of some of these key amino acids, especially the tryptophan also, which will improve melatonin, and people get a lot of improvement in sleep big time. And their mood also, waking up in the morning. So moving on, so yes, we already got over that. Nitrogen, retention, energy, yep. So yeah, no, anybody who has food sensitivities, this is also vegan as well. And that's it. So I can send you this if you have any questions about this chart. And you know, they're showing, you know, the uses for all these sorts of different things. It's really useful for everybody because it's just can help with completing a diet. Symptoms of protein deficiency. This is true, but they've basically marketed this more towards cosmetic people, more concerned about their appearance, because really honestly, protein deficiency will manifest as, you know, 100 different symptoms. So it can be a lot of different things, not just this small little list here. And I would tell you that from taking Perfect Amino, it is common for people to put on 4 to 7 pounds. But this is weight that you don't see at all, and because it is going into deficient tissues and on a collagen level, so that could be your organs, different types of things in the musculoskeletal system. This is not something that necessarily will be noticeable to you unless you take a lot of this stuff while doing a lot of working out maybe. Then you can see some noticeable improvements. But just taking on its own, that just shows you that a lot of people are deficient. But more because they're not assimilating what they're eating. So people do go through that weight gain, which is again only detectable on a scale if you're measuring yourself. And so if you have any questions about this, I am selling this actually right now at major discount for $25 a bottle. It's normally $40. If you just have to buy 4 bottles minimum to get that price from me. And I'll show you this last story because I think it's significant. There's a lot of interesting studies with this particular protein formulation. But if you know about the Tour de France is just biking nonstop on a really, really intense course day after day, and it lasts many, many, many days. So by the end of that, all these athletes who now we know were doping with all kinds of performance drugs, they're on all kinds of things, folks, things that they can't even test for yet. So they're basically putting thousands of dollars into these athletes with cutting-edge therapies, cutting-edge supplements, drugs, all kinds of things. The only performance-enhancing thing that has ever prevented these athletes from having being in a catabolic or muscle breakdown, tissue breakdown state at the end of the Tour de France was the master amino acid pattern, or this particular protein formulation, the same thing. So basically this protein formulation kept them actually in an anabolic state, which was just mind-blowing because it just seemed so simple, like, oh, it's just a protein. Here we are investing tens of thousands of dollars with all these other different modalities and different other types of supplements and things like that. But it was this particular product that kept them in that state towards the end. So that I think is significant. There's a lot of different stories I could tell you, but that one I think impressed me the most. But if anybody has any specific questions about this particular protein and if it would be appropriate for them, definitely check it out and just share with me your health goals or conditions. And you can reach me on healthhacksreviewed.com. You can live chat with me, you can call me, whatever works best for you. Anyways, hope this video was helpful, and if you did find it helpful, just feel free to give me a thumbs up. Thanks.